The air is warm and golden on a spring afternoon in 1975 in the sleepy suburb of Wheaton, Maryland. The sun cast a shimmering glow across the glass storefronts of Wheaton Plaza, a bustling mall where the hum of shoppers weaves with the faint crackle of top 40 hits spilling from storefront radios. The scent of fresh pizza wafts through the open doors of the food court, mingling with the sweetness of blooming cherry blossoms carried on a gentle breeze. Two sisters, Sheila Lyon, 12, with her thoughtful eyes and chestnut braids, and Kate Lyon, 10, with her sunny curls and infectious giggle, walk hand in hand through the crowded corridors. Their laughter dances in the air, a fleeting melody lost in the clamor of the day, as they dream of pizza slices and Easter trinkets. They are meant to return home by dusk, to the warmth of their mother's kitchen, to the familiar creak of their front door, to a world where safety feels eternal. But as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and indigo, Sheila and Kate vanish, swallowed by a shadow that creeps unseen through the heart of Wheaton. Their absence leaves a void, a mystery that seeps into the cracks of this suburban idyll, poisoning its innocence with questions that linger like a fog. This is Shadow of Crime, a journey into the darkness where we chase the stories that haunt, the cases that cling to the edges of memory, the truths buried beneath the surface of ordinary life. Tonight, we step back to that fateful Tuesday in March 1975, to the heart of Wheaton Plaza, where two little girls disappeared, leaving behind a puzzle that has tormented a family, a community, and a nation for half a century. The Lyon sisters' case is a wound that refuses to heal, a riddle that whispers in the night, demanding answers that remain just out of reach. So light a candle to ward off the chill. Lock your door against the unknown. Settle into the quiet, for the shadows are stirring, and they have a story to tell. Welcome to the Shadow of Crime. Part 1. Wheaton 1975, a suburban idyll. In the spring of 1975, Wheaton, Maryland, was a postcard of suburban perfection, a sanctuary carved from the sprawl just beyond the hustle of Washington, D.C. Its streets were lined with tidy ranch-style homes, their white picket fences gleaming under the sun, their lawns meticulously trimmed, dotted with tricycles and jump ropes left by children who played freely until the streetlights flickered on. Oaks and maples arched over quiet roads, their leaves whispering in the breeze, while the distant hum of lawnmowers and the clink of lemonade glasses on porches created a symphony of domestic bliss. Neighbors knew each other's names, shared recipes over backyard fences, and left their doors unlocked, trusting in the unspoken pact of safety that defined Wheaton. The community was a tapestry of middle-class dreams, woven with church picnics, Little League games, and PDA meetings, where the biggest scandals were late-night teenage pranks or a misplaced garden hose. At the heart of this world stood Wheaton Plaza, a sprawling shopping mall that pulsed with life. Opened in the 1960s, it was a modern marvel, a cathedral of commerce where families flocked to shop, socialize, and savor the promise of progress. Its glass storefronts gleamed under neon signs, offering everything from Sears appliances to record stores blaring the latest hits by Fleetwood Mac and Elton John. The food court buzzed with the aroma of sizzling burgers, buttery popcorn, and the tangy sauce of pizza slices served on greasy paper plates. Teenagers lounged by the central fountain, tossing pennies into its chlorinated depths, while mothers pushed strollers past displays of spring dresses and Easter baskets. The mall was a microcosm of Wheaton's optimism, a place where the future felt bright, where the world seemed to spin in perfect harmony. The Lyon family was woven into this idyllic fabric. John Lyon, a charismatic radio DJ whose warm baritone filled the airwaves of Mal, and Mary Lyon, a devoted homemaker with a knack for baking, lived in a modest home on Driscoll Road. Their house was a hub of warmth, its walls echoing with the laughter of their 4 children, 2 older sons, Jay and Joe, and their daughters, Sheila and Kate. Sheila, at 12, was the introspective one, her chestnut braids framing a face that held a quiet intensity. She spent hours curled up with Nancy Drew mysteries, her dreams fixed on becoming a veterinarian, her gentle demeanor masking a fierce determination. Kate, 10, was her vibrant counterpart, her blonde curls bouncing as she danced to her favorite records, her laughter a spark that lit up any room. She loved animals, too, but her heart leaned toward music, her voice humming along to radio tunes with a joy that was contagious. The sisters were a study in contrast yet bound by an unbreakable bond, their shared giggles and whispered secrets the heartbeat of the Lyon household. On March 25, 1975, a Tuesday during spring break, the air in Wheaton carried the promise of renewal. The cherry blossoms were in full bloom, their pink petals drifting like confetti across the sidewalks. Children roamed freely, their bikes weaving through cul-de-sacs, their voices rising in games of tag. Sheila and Kate, eager for a small adventure, pleaded with their parents to visit Wheaton Plaza. It was a ritual they cherished, a mile-long walk to the mall, a few dollars for pizza and arcade games, a chance to soak in the electric energy of the place. John, preparing for his afternoon radio shift, and Mary, busy with household chores, agreed, setting a firm curfew: be home by 4 p.m. for dinner. The girls, dressed in jeans, light sweaters, and spring jackets, bounded out the door, their footsteps light on the pavement, their laughter trailing behind them like a melody. They could not know that this day, so bright and ordinary, would mark the end of their world as they knew it. Wheaton, with its sun-dappled streets and neighborly trust, was poised to reveal a darkness that would shatter its innocence, and Wheaton Plaza, the glittering heart of the community, was about to become the stage for an unthinkable tragedy. Part 2. The Day They Vanished. March 25, 1975, dawned clear and warm in Wheaton, the kind of spring day that felt like a gift after a long winter. The sun climbed high, its golden rays reflecting off the polished glass of Wheaton Plaza's storefronts, where the mall thrummed with the rhythm of suburban life. Shoppers moved in a steady stream, their arms laden with bags from J.C. Penney and Montgomery Ward, their voices blending with the jangle of cash registers and the tinny pop music piped through overhead speakers. The food court was a sensory overload: sizzling hot dogs, the sweet tang of orange Julius, the yeasty warmth of pizza baking in brick ovens. Children darted through the crowds, their sneakers squeaking on the tiled floors, their pockets jingling with coins for the arcade. It was a day that felt alive, electric, as if Wheaton Plaza were the center of the universe, a place where nothing bad could ever happen. Sheila and Kate Lyon arrived at the mall around 11:30 a.m., their eyes wide with the thrill of independence. Sheila, with her braids swinging gently, led the way, her thoughtful gaze taking in the vibrant chaos. Kate, her curls bouncing with each step, chattered excitedly, pointing at a display of glittery Easter eggs in a shop window. The sisters were a familiar sight at Wheaton Plaza, their presence as natural as the fountain's gurgle or the hum of the escalators. They made a beeline for the food court, pooling their allowance to order a large pizza, its cheese bubbling under the neon glow of the pizzeria's sign. They sat at a formica table, their laughter mingling with the clatter of trays, sharing slices and a fizzy cola, their fingers sticky with sauce. For them, this was freedom, a moment to be big sisters, to savor the world beyond their quiet street, to dream of summers and secrets yet to come. Their day unfolded in a carefree rhythm. After lunch, they wandered through the mall's labyrinthine corridors, pausing at a record store to flip through albums by ABBA and the Carpenters, their heads bent close as they debated their favorites. Around 2 p.m., they were spotted in Montgomery Ward, a sprawling department store where the air smelled of new fabric and floor polish. A family friend saw them near the Easter display, Sheila leafing through a teen magazine, her lips pursed in concentration, while Kate clutched a plush bunny, her face alight with delight. They were vibrant, alive, their presence a spark in the mall's bustling tapestry. Witnesses later recalled their giggles, the way Sheila's braids caught the light, the way Kate's curls seemed to dance with her every move. These were the last confirmed sightings, the final moments when Sheila and Kate were undeniably present, their futures still unwritten. But Wheaton Plaza held another presence that day, one that slithered unnoticed through the crowds. A man, described by witnesses as tall and middle-aged, with dark hair and thick glasses, moved among the shoppers, a bulky tape recorder in his hands. He approached children, his voice smooth and practiced, offering to record their voices for some vague project, a radio show, an experiment, a game. His smile was too wide, his eyes too sharp, but in the mall's frenetic energy, he went unnoticed, just another face in the crowd. Some teens later recalled seeing him near the fountain, speaking to two girls who matched Sheila and Kate's description. He held the microphone close, his demeanor both inviting and unsettling, but no one intervened. This was Wheaton, after all, a place where strangers were harmless, where danger was a distant concept. By 4 p.m., when the sisters failed to return home, Mary Lyon's calls to the mall went unanswered. The sun was sinking, casting long shadows across the parking lot, and Wheaton Plaza, with its glittering facade, had become a void, swallowing Sheila and Kate whole, leaving only a chilling silence that would echo for decades. Part 3. The Last Witnesses. As the clock ticked past 4 p.m. on March 25, 1975, a quiet panic began to stir in the Lyon household. Mary Lyon, standing in her kitchen, felt a cold dread settle in her bones, a mother's instinct screaming that something was wrong. The aroma of dinner, roast chicken and mashed potatoes, hung heavy in the air, but the table remained unset, the girl's absence a gaping wound. She dialed friends, neighbors, the pizza shop at Wheaton Plaza, her voice growing sharper with each unanswered call. John Lyon, his radio shift cut short, sped home through Wheaton's tree-lined streets, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, his heart pounding with a fear he couldn't name. By 6 p.m., the family contacted the Montgomery County Police, their voices trembling with urgency, and Wheaton Plaza transformed from a place of joy into a sprawling crime scene, its bright lights now harsh and accusing. Police descended on the mall, their radios crackling, their flashlights slicing through the gathering dusk. Detective Jack Toll, a seasoned investigator with a face etched by years of grim cases, took charge, his notepad filling with hurried scrawls. The task was daunting. 2 children had vanished in broad daylight, in a mall packed with hundreds, leaving no trace. Officers fanned out, knocking on store doors, questioning vendors, guards, and loitering teens, their questions met with shrugs and half-remembered glimpses. The mall's tiled floors, still warm from the day's foot traffic, offered no clues, its escalators humming emptily, its fountain gurgling as if mocking the chaos. Witnesses began to trickle forward, their accounts fragmented, like pieces of a shattered mirror, each reflecting a fleeting moment of the sisters' final hours. A pizza vendor, wiping flour from his hands, recalled Sheila and Kate at his counter around noon, their faces bright as they shared a cola, their voices bubbling with talk of Easter plans. He remembered Sheila's polite, "Thank you," Kate's impish grin as she grabbed an extra napkin, their presence so ordinary it barely registered. A teenage boy, lingering by the arcade's pinball machines, saw 2 girls matching their description near the fountain at 2:30 p.m., chatting with a tall man in a dark suit. The man's tape recorder, a bulky contraption, stood out. He offered interviews, his voice coaxing, his eyes glinting with something the boy couldn't place. Other kids brushed him off, annoyed by his persistence, but one recalled him lingering near 2 girls with braids and curls, his microphone hovering like a predator's claw. A department store clerk, stationed near the Easter display, saw a similar man in the toy aisle, his gaze tracking children with unsettling focus, but she was too busy to linger on it. Another witness, a mall security guard, added a chilling detail, a white van parked in the back lot around 3 p.m. Its engine idling, its driver a shadowy figure behind tinted glass. The van's presence, too long and too still, prickled the guard's instincts, but a shoplifter's call pulled him away before he could investigate. By evening, police had collected dozens of accounts, their notebooks brimming with contradictions. Someone saw the girls near an exit, another heard a muffled cry, others swore they saw the man with the recorder slipping into the crowd. But no lead stretched beyond the asphalt of the parking lot, where the sisters' trail ended as abruptly as a snap thread. Wheaton Plaza, with its neon glow and cheerful chaos, had become a labyrinth, its corridors hiding a truth that refused to surface, its brightness a cruel facade masking the darkness that had claimed Sheila and Kate. Part 4. A Family in Hell. The evening of March 25, 1975, marked the moment the Lyon family's world shattered, plunging them into a nightmare from which they would never fully wake. Mary Lyon stood in her kitchen, the heart of their Driscoll Road home, where just hours before she had laughed with Sheila over a recipe, where Kate had doodled Easter bunnies on scrap paper. The room, once filled with the warmth of family dinners, now felt like a tomb, its silence broken only by the ticking of a clock and the faint hum of a refrigerator. Mary's hands trembled as she dialed the police, her voice cracking with desperation, each unanswered ring a hammer blow to her heart. John Lyon burst through the door, his radio DJ charm replaced by raw fear, his arms wrapping around Mary as they clung to each other, their shared terror a fragile anchor in a sea of uncertainty. Their sons, Jay and Joe, teenagers caught in the cusp of adulthood, stood nearby, their faces pale, their voices hushed as they called friends, hoping for a simple explanation, a missed bus, a detour, anything but the truth that loomed. The Lyons raced to Wheaton Plaza, their station wagon weaving through Wheaton's quiet streets, where porch lights glowed like beacons of normalcy. The mall's parking lot, bathed in the harsh glare of sodium lights, was a hive of activity. Police cars, their red and blue lights pulsing, neighbors gathering in worried clusters, reporters already sniffing out a story. Mary clutched a Polaroid of Sheila and Kate, taken just weeks before at a family picnic. Sheila's braids neat, Kate's curls wild, both smiling under a spring sky. She thrust it at strangers, her voice hoarse from shouting their names, her eyes scanning the crowd for a glimpse of her girls. John, his radio-trained composure crumbling, questioned mall staff, his questions sharp, his hands shaking as he gripped a flyer. The sisters' absence was a physical ache, a void that grew with every passing minute, every empty aisle, every unanswered call. Back home, the Lyon house became a command center of grief. The living room, once cluttered with board games and record sleeves, was now strewn with maps, phone lists, and half-drunk coffee cups. Neighbors arrived with casseroles and condolences, their voices soft, their eyes averted, as if Mary's pain might be contagious. Friends set up a phone bank, fielding tips and coordinating searches, while a local pastor led prayers, his words falling like ash on the family's raw wounds. Mary sat by the window, staring at the dark street, willing her daughters to appear, their laughter breaking the silence. John paced, his radio scripts forgotten, his mind replaying every moment of that morning Sheila's quiet goodbye, Kate's hug, their footsteps fading down the driveway. Jay and Joe, torn between hope and dread, took to the streets, stapling missing posters to every pole, the girls' faces, Sheila's serious gaze, Kate's radiant smile, staring back under bold black letters, missing. The night stretched on, endless and merciless, each hour a reminder of the girl's absence. The Lyons clung to fragments of hope, a witness's vague recollection, and neighbors promised to search the woods, a prayer that the dawn would bring answers. But Wheaton Plaza, with its glittering storefronts and hollow cheer, offered no solace, its corridors a maze where their daughters had vanished. For the Lyons, this was not just a tragedy but a descent into a purgatory of questions, a life redefined by loss. Their home, once a haven, was now a shrine to two girls who might never return, its walls echoing with the ghosts of laughter, its heart broken by a mystery that refused to yield. Part 5. The investigation begins. As dusk fell on March 25, 1975, Wheaton Plaza became a crime scene, its neon lights casting an eerie glow over the Montgomery County Police's frantic efforts. Squad cars lined the parking lot, their sirens slicing through the evening calm, their flashing lights painting the asphalt in red and blue. Detective Jack Toll, a weathered investigator whose career had spanned burglaries and bar fights, stood at the center of the chaos, his notepad clutched like a lifeline. The disappearance of two children in broad daylight, in a mall teeming with shoppers, was a case unlike any he'd seen, a violation of Wheaton's unspoken promise of safety. His team, a mix of veterans and rookies, moved with grim determination, their boots scuffing the mall's polished floors, their questions echoing in its cavernous halls. The scene offered no easy answers. Wheaton Plaza, with its sprawling layout and constant flux of people, was a nightmare for investigators. There were no signs of a struggle, no dropped bags, no scuff marks, no witnesses to a scream. The sisters' last confirmed sightings, at the pizza counter in Montgomery Ward, were maddeningly mundane, their presence blending into the mall's rhythm. Police retraced their steps, mapping their route from the food court to the department store, their flashlights lingering on the fountain where the man with the tape recorder had been seen. But the mall's surfaces, its tiles, its counters, its glass, held no fingerprints, no traces, as if Sheila and Kate had been erased. The only clues were the witnesses' accounts, a patchwork of half-remembered moments that refused to coalesce into a clear picture. Officers interviewed dozens, their notepads filling with details both vivid and vague. The pizza vendor described the girls' order, a large pepperoni, a shared cola, their voices bright as they chatted about Easter baskets. A team by the arcade recalled the man with the tape recorder, his dark suit and glasses standing out against the mall's casual crowd. He'd offered interviews, his tape recorder a curious prop, his insistence unsettling but not alarming in the moment. A clerk in Montgomery Ward remembered a similar man near the toy aisle, his gaze lingering on children, but her attention had been pulled to a customer. The security guard's account of the white van, idling in the back lot, added a new layer of dread, its driver a shadowy figure, its purpose unknown. Police issued an APB for the van, but without a license plate or make, it was like chasing a phantom. As night deepened, the search expanded beyond the mall. 9 units swept the parking lot, their noses pressed to the asphalt, but the sisters' scent was lost in the chaos of thousands of footprints. Helicopters buzzed overhead, their spotlights raking parks, woods, and the nearby Kensington rail tracks, their beams swallowed by the darkness. Volunteers joined the effort, their flashlights bobbing through underbrush, their voices calling Sheila and Kate's names until they grew hoarse. Mary and John Lyon stood at the edge of the lot, their faces etched with anguish, watching as the mall's lights dimmed, its promise of safety shattered. The police's press release, broadcast on local radio and TV, urged tips, but the flood of calls, sightings in Baltimore, psychics' visions, anonymous taunts, overwhelmed the team. For Wheaton, the investigation was a wake-up call, a moment when the suburb's innocence was stripped away, revealing a world where shadows could claim even the brightest lives. Part 6. The Man with the Tape Recorder. In the mosaic of witness accounts gathered at Wheaton Plaza, one figure stood out like a dark stain, the man with the tape recorder. Described as tall, in his 40s or 50s, with dark hair slicked back and thick-rimmed glasses, he moved through the mall with a quiet purpose, his bulky tape recorder, a device rare in 1975, drawing curious glances. Witnesses, mostly teenagers loitering by the arcade or fountain, painted a consistent picture. He approached groups of children, his voice smooth and rehearsed, offering to record their voices for a radio show or special project. His smile was broad, almost theatrical, but his eyes held a sharpness that made kids uneasy, though few could articulate why. In the mall's frenetic energy, he was just another oddity, a fleeting curiosity in a sea of faces. A 13-year-old boy, lingering by the pinball machines, offered the most vivid account. Around 2:30 p.m., he saw the man near the fountain, speaking to 2 girls. One with braids, the other with curls, their descriptions matching Sheila and Kate. The man held his tape recorder aloft, its microphone glinting under the mall's fluorescent lights, urging the girls to play reporters, to say something for the show. His tone was coaxing, almost playful, but there was an edge to it, a hunger that the boy sensed but couldn't name. The girls seemed hesitant, their giggles nervous, but the boy turned away, distracted by a fringe challenge at the arcade. Later, when news of the disappearance broke, his stomach churned as he realized what he'd seen, his memory now a haunting fragment in the police's puzzle. Other witnesses added layers to the mystery. A clerk at Montgomery Ward, stationed near the Easter display, recalled a man matching the description lingering in the toy aisle, his gaze tracking children as they browsed. She noted his tape recorder, its red record light blinking, but assumed he was a hobbyist or journalist, too busy with customers to linger on him. A group of teens by the food court saw him earlier, offering interviews to a cluster of girls, his persistence grating until they walked away. One girl remembered his eyes, cold, unblinking, like a predator sizing up prey, but in the moment, it was just a passing discomfort. The security guard, reflecting on the white van, wondered if the man with the recorder was connected, his presence in the mall too coincidental, too calculated. Police seized on the tape recorder as a key lead, its oddity a beacon in the case's murkiness. They speculated on its purpose. Was it a lure, a way to gain children's trust, to make them feel special? Was it a trophy, recording voices as a sick memento? Or was it a red herring, the quirk of an eccentric unrelated to the crime? A composite sketch, based on the teen's descriptions, depicted a gaunt face, heavy glasses, and slick-back hair, but it was frustratingly generic, matching countless men in 1975 America. Flyers with the sketch blanketed Wheaton, posted on every lamppost, storefront, and bulletin board, but no one came forward to name him. The man with the tape recorder became a specter, a figure who haunted the investigation, his motives as elusive as his identity. For the Lyons, his image was a torment, a faceless phantom who might hold the key to their daughter's fate, a shadow that slipped through the cracks of Wheaton Plaza, leaving only dread in his wake. Part 7. A community in panic. The disappearance of Sheila and Kate Lyon sent shockwaves through Wheaton, shattering its illusion of invincibility like a stone through a window. By the evening of March 25, 1975, Wheaton Plaza, once a symbol of suburban joy, had become a place of dread, its bright lights now casting long, accusing shadows. News of the missing girls spread like wildfire, carried on the whispers of neighbors, the crackle of police radios, the urgent bulletins interrupting radio hits. Families left dinners untouched, their forks clattering on plates, as they joined the search, their flashlights sweeping through the mall's parking lot, its adjacent parks, and the dense woods that fringed the suburb. The air was thick with tension, the scent of spring blossoms now overlaid with the acrid tang of fear, as voices called the sisters' names, their echoes fading into the night. Wheaton transformed in the blink of an eye. Streets once alive with children's laughter fell silent, their bikes abandoned in driveways, their games of tag replaced by parental lectures on stranger danger. Mothers who had waved their kids off to the mall now clutched them close, their eyes darting to every passing car, every unfamiliar face. Fathers installed deadbolts, their drills whining late into the night, as trust in the community's safety eroded. Wheaton Plaza, the heart of Wheaton's social life, became a place to avoid, its escalators and fountains now ominous, its crowds a potential hiding place for predators. The mall's management, reeling from the tragedy, hired extra guards and promised new cameras, but the gestures felt hollow, too late to save the sisters or restore the suburb's innocence. The community rallied around the Lyons, their grief a shared wound that bound Wheaton together, yet also tore it apart. Neighbors flooded the Lyon home with casseroles, their Pyrex dishes stacking up in the kitchen, their handwritten notes offering prayers and promises to help. Church groups organized vigils, their candles flickering in the spring breeze, their hymns rising in mournful harmony. Local businesses, diners, barbershops, the corner drugstore displayed missing posters, Sheila and Kate's faces staring out under fluorescent lights, their smiles a stark contrast to the town's growing paranoia. But beneath the unity simmered suspicion. Whispers in grocery aisles hinted at strangers seen loitering, at neighbors with odd habits, at the possibility of a local predator. Some even cast sidelong glances at the Lyons, their pain so raw it invited cruel speculation, though police quickly dismissed any family involvement. For the Lyons, the community's response was both a lifeline and a burden. Mary and John welcomed the support, their home a revolving door of volunteers, but the constant presence of strangers, reporters thrusting microphones, well-meaning friends asking for updates, felt suffocating, a reminder of their private loss turned public spectacle. Their sons, Jay and Joe, threw themselves into the effort, their teenage defiance giving way to a quiet resolve as they joined searches, their hands blistered from stapling flyers, their dreams haunted by their sister's absence. Wheaton's churches, packed with mourners, offered solace, but their prayers seemed to vanish into the void, unanswered by a sky that had let two girls slip away. The town, with its once open heart, became a fortress of fear, its residents forever changed by the realization that darkness could strike in the middle of a sunny afternoon, that their haven was no longer safe. Part 8. A cold case. By the close of 1975, the investigation into the disappearance of Sheila and Kate Lyon had faded into a quiet despair, its initial fire smothered by the weight of dead ends. The Montgomery County Police had chased every lead with dogged determination, their days consumed by interviews, searches, and tips that crumbled under scrutiny. They had canvassed hundreds of homes, scoured miles of woods and rivers, and sifted through thousands of calls, from heartfelt sightings to wild conspiracies. But the case yielded nothing, no bodies, no clothing, no physical evidence, as if the sisters had been plucked from the earth by an unseen hand. The file, once a hive of activity, grew dusty in the precinct's basement, its pages a testament to a failure that haunted every officer involved. Detective Jack Toll, whose career had weathered countless cases, felt this one like a personal defeat, his nights spent replaying witness statements, his dreams plagued by the girls' faces. The case's descent into cold case status left Wheaton grappling with a grief that refused to fade. The town had thrown its heart into the search, its residents combing parks, taping flyers to every surface, their hope fragilely bright against the growing darkness. But as weeks turned to months, the searches dwindled, the flyers curled at the edges, and life crept back to a semblance of normalcy, though it was forever altered. Wheaton Plaza, though still a hub of commerce, carried a shadow of its tragedy, its shoppers moving quickly, their eyes averted from the memorial bench where the sisters had once sat. Schools resumed classes, but teachers spoke softly of Sheila and Kate, their empty desks a silent rebuke, their absence a lesson in vulnerability that shaped a generation. For the Lyon family, the cold case status was a betrayal, a wound that cut deeper than any other could. Mary Lyon, whose strength had burned bright in those first frantic days, refused to surrender, her voice steady but raw as she gave interviews to local papers, her hands trembling as she printed new flyers. She and John Lyon poured their savings into a search fund, hiring private investigators, their reports a thin thread of hope in a tapestry of despair. Their home on Driscoll Road became a shrine to their daughters, Sheila's Nancy Drew books untouched on her shelf, Kate's painted bunnies still pinned to her bulletin board, their room a frozen snapshot of a life interrupted. Mary lit a candle every night, its flame a beacon in the darkness, a prayer that her girls were still out there, somewhere, waiting to be found. John, whose radio voice had once lifted spirits, now faltered, his broadcast a struggle to mask the pain that gnawed at him, his every word a plea for answers. The Wheaton community, too, bore the case's weight, its once carefree spirit dimmed by the sisters' absence. Diners and barbershops kept the flyers up, their ink faded but their message clear, we remember. Rumors swirled in hushed tones, tales of a kidnapping ring, a serial killer stalking the East Coast, even whispers of a local cover-up, but without evidence, they were just stories, ghosts that haunted conversations over coffee and church pews. The case became a legend, its details woven into Wheaton's fabric, a cautionary tale told to children who now walked home in pairs, their parents' eyes watchful. For the police, it was a scar on their reputation, a reminder of limits. For the Lyons, an unending crusade. For Wheaton, a mirror to a lost innocence, a proof that even the brightest places could harbor darkness. Part 9. A new turn. Lloyd Welch. Decades stretched on, and the Lyon sisters' case seemed destined to fade into obscurity, its file a relic in a police archive, its pages brittle with time. The 1970s gave way to the 1980s, then the 1990s, each era bringing new technologies, new hopes, but no answers for Sheila and Kate. Wheaton moved forward, its streets busier, its mall modernized, but the sisters' absence lingered, a quiet ache in the town's heart. Then, in 2013, a flicker of hope emerged when the Montgomery County Police, spurred by a cold case initiative, dusted off the Lyon file. Their attention zeroed in on Lloyd Lee Welch, a name that had surfaced briefly in 1975 but was dismissed as a dead end. Back then, an 18-year-old drifter with a rap sheet for petty theft, Welch had approached police, claiming he'd seen a man with a tape recorder luring girls into a van at Wheaton Plaza. His story was disjointed, his demeanor unreliable, and detectives had brushed him off, their focus on more promising leads. In 2013, Welch was a different man, gray-haired, weathered by decades of crime and addiction, serving time for unrelated charges. Summoned to an interrogation room, he sat under the harsh glare of fluorescent lights, his hands fidgeting, his eyes darting as detectives pressed him on that spring day in 1975. What emerged was a confession as chilling as it was convoluted. Welch admitted to being at Wheaton Plaza, to seeing Sheila and Kate, to playing a role in their abduction. He spun a tale of horror, claiming he'd helped an older accomplice. His uncle, a cousin, or a vague associate, his story shifting with each retelling, lured the girls into a white van. They were driven, he said, to a remote house in rural Virginia, a ramshackle place hidden in the woods, where the sisters were held captive, abused, and possibly killed. In a detail that turned stomachs, Welch described watching their bodies burned in a metal barrel, the flames licking the night sky, their ashes scattered across the forest floor, erased from the world. The confession was a bombshell, a crack in the case's impenetrable silence, but it was riddled with inconsistencies. Welch's memory, eroded by years of drugs and lies, was a fractured mirror, reflecting truth in distorted shards. He named locations, Hyattsville, Bedford County, that police searched with cadaver dogs and excavators, their shovels turning up only dirt and disappointment. He described accomplices, but their identities shifted, his stories tangling like vines. Detectives grappled with his reliability, his criminal history, burglary, assault, molestation, painting him as both a potential key and a habitual liar. Yet, certain details, like the van and the Virginia connection, echoed other unsolved cases, hinting at a broader pattern of predation in the 1970s. For the Lyon family, Welch's words were a torment, a glimpse of truth wrapped in agony. Mary, now frail but unyielding, listened to police summaries, her hands clasped tightly, her heart torn between hope and horror. John had passed away in 2008, spared the pain of Welch's tale but denied its closure. Jay and Joe, grown men with families of their own, joined their mother in pressing for answers, their resolve hardened by decades of loss. In 2017, Welch was indicted for his alleged role, but without bodies or physical evidence, the charges were a fragile thread, unable to weave a full tapestry of justice. Police continued to dig, their efforts fueled by Welch's taunts, but the Virginia woods remained silent, their secrets buried deep. Welch, with his sly grin and shifting stories, became a new phantom in the case, a figure who both illuminated and obscured the truth, leaving Wheaton and the Lyons suspended in a purgatory of what-ifs. Part 10. Theories and Speculation. The Lyon sisters' case is a labyrinth of theories, a puzzle where every piece seems to fit until it doesn't, each hypothesis a flicker of possibility in a sea of unknowns. Without bodies, fingerprints, or a crime scene, speculation has filled the gaps, growing into a mythology that reflects Wheaton's deepest fears and the era's darkest anxieties. The absence of answers has turned Sheila and Kate into symbols, their story a canvas for projecting truths about safety, trust, and the fragility of suburban life. Investigators, journalists, and armchair detectives have spun countless narratives, each one a thread in a tapestry that remains unfinished, its pattern elusive yet endlessly compelling. Theory 1. Stranger abduction. The most straightforward explanation posits that Sheila and Kate were targeted by the man with the tape recorder, a predator who used his device as a lure. In the 1970s, malls were new territory, their crowds a perfect cover for those who hunted. His tape recorder, a novelty, might have intrigued the sisters, drawing them into a moment of trust that turned deadly. The white van, idling in the lot, could have been his escape, a vehicle that slipped into the arteries of Maryland's highways, unseen. But the theory falters under scrutiny. How could two girls be taken in a packed mall without a scream, a witness, a trace? The logistics suggest a level of planning and control that chills investigators, yet no evidence anchors it, leaving it a haunting possibility. Theory 2. Serial killer. The 1970s were a grim era for serial predators, with names like Bundy, Gacy, and the Zodiac casting long shadows. Some detectives wondered if the sisters fell victim to a killer passing through Maryland, their abduction part of a broader spree. Lloyd Welch's criminal history and vague confessions fueled this idea, hinting at a network of predators operating in the shadows. But no known serial killer matched the case's specifics, and Welch's ties to Wheaton were tenuous at best. The theory, while gripping, lacks the concrete links needed to elevate it beyond speculation, its allure rooted in the era's paranoia about unseen monsters. Theory 3. Human trafficking. Whispers of underground networks abducting children for sale were rife in the 70s, and some in Wheaton believed Sheila and Kate were snatched for a darker purpose. The mall's crowds could have masked such a crime, the van a vehicle for spiriting them away to a hidden market. But the audacity of such an act in broad daylight, in a suburban hub, strains credulity, and no evidence, ransom notes, sightings, or informants supports it. The theory persists in true crime circles, its horror rooted in the fear of a world where children can be commodified, but it remains a shadow without substance. Theory 4. Family involvement. The cruelest whispers pointed to the Lyons themselves, suggesting domestic secrets or a staged disappearance. Such theories are common in high-profile cases, born of a need to make sense of chaos, but they collapsed under scrutiny. John and Mary were transparent with police, their grief raw and unfeigned, their lives an open book. Their sons, Jay and Joe, were teenagers with no motive or mains. The theory, dismissed early, lingers only in the darkest corners of speculation, a betrayal of the family's enduring pain. Each theory is a spark in the dark, illuminating fragments of the case, but never its whole. For the Lyons, these ideas were torture, each new hypothesis a reminder of their loss, each dead and a fresh wound. For Wheaton, speculation became a way to grapple with fear, a means to impose order on a crime that defied it. The case's lack of resolution turned neighbors into amateur sleuths, their conversations in diners and church basements dissecting every detail. The tape recorder, the van, Welch's confession. The Lyon sisters' story, with its unanswered questions, became a mirror for a community's anxieties, a reminder that truth can be as elusive as hope, that shadows can linger even in the brightest places. Part 11. Wheaton today. In 2025, Wheaton, Maryland, is a suburb transformed, its once quiet streets now bustling with new developments, its skyline dotted with modern condos and trendy eateries. The cherry blossoms still bloom each spring, their petals carpeting the sidewalks. But the Wheaton of 1975, with its small-town charm and unlocked doors, is a distant memory. Westfield Wheaton, the rebranded Wheaton Plaza, stands as a gleaming monument to progress, its corridors lined with Apple stores and artisanal coffee shops, its parking lot packed with SUVs. Yet, beneath this polished surface lies a scar, a quiet ache that binds the community to the tragedy of Sheila and Kate Lyon. The sisters' disappearance, though half a century old, remains a touchstone, a story whispered by old-timers and Googled by newcomers, its weight felt in the town's collective heart. The mall itself bears traces of the past. The fountain where Sheila and Kate were last seen was demolished in the 1990s, replaced by a sleek atrium, but a bronze plaque, installed in 2005, marks the spot. Its inscription, "In memory of Sheila and Kate Lyon, forever in our hearts," is worn by time, its letters softened by weather and touch, a pilgrimage site for those who remember. Shoppers pass it daily, some pausing to read, others hurrying by, unaware of the ghosts that linger. The mall's older employees, some who worked there in 1975, speak of the case in hushed tones, their eyes distant as they recall the searches, the flyers, the fear that gripped Wheaton. For them, Westfield Wheaton is not just a workplace but a haunted space, its bright lights a thin veil over a darkness that never left. The Lyon family, though weathered by time, remains the case's beating heart. Mary Lyon, now in her 80s, lives in a quiet corner of Wheaton, her home a museum of her daughter's lives. Photos of Sheila and Kate adorn every wall, Sheila at a school play, Kate blowing out birthday candles, their smiles frozen in a happier era. Mary's health has faded, her steps slower, but her resolve burns bright, her voice steady as she speaks at annual vigils, urging witnesses to come forward. John Lyon passed away in 2008, his heart heavy with unanswered questions, his radio legacy a bittersweet memory. Their sons, Jay and Joe, now middle-aged with children of their own, carry the torch, managing the family's fund, organizing searches, and advocating for cold case resources. They visit the plaque each March, laying flowers, their faces etched with a grief that time has only deepened. The Montgomery County Police keep the case active, its file a digital behemoth of reports, tips, and dead ends, tended by a new generation of detectives. Advances in DNA and forensic genealogy have sparked hope, but searches in Virginia and Maryland, prompted by Welch's claims or anonymous tips, have yielded only frustration. In 2023, a call about a burial site in a Montgomery County park led to a high-profile dig, watched by a hushed Wheaton, but the shovels turned up nothing, another false lead in a case littered with them. The department's statements, delivered in measured tones, affirmed their commitment, but the detectives' eyes betray a weariness, a sense that the truth may lie beyond reach. Wheaton's community carries the sisters' legacy in varied ways. Older residents, who searched woods in 1975, speak of the case with sorrow, their trust and safety never fully restored. Younger ones, raised on true crime podcasts, see it as a legend, a story to dissect over craft beer or late-night chats. Churches hold annual services, their pews filled with flickering candles, their prayers a ritual of hope. Local businesses, diners, salons, the old pharmacy, display faded flyers, their edges curling but their message enduring: we will not forget. For Wheaton, the Lyon sisters are a wound, a mystery, a call to honor two lives lost in the shadow of a spring day, a reminder that the past is never truly gone. Part 12. The Eternal Enigma. The disappearance of Sheila and Kate Lyon is more than a cold case. It is a requiem for a lost world, a lament for a family torn apart, a challenge to a community that refuses to forget. Sheila, with her chestnut braids and quiet dreams of saving animals, and Kate, with her golden curls and boundless joy, are not just names in a file, they are symbols, their story a mirror reflecting the fragility of safety, the agony of unanswered questions, the enduring power of love. Their vanishing from Wheaton Plaza, in the heart of a sunlit day, is a wound that has never healed, a puzzle that has defied half a century of searching, a shadow that stretches across time to touch every heart that hears their tale. What happened that afternoon in March 1975? Did the man with the tape recorder, with his too-wide smile and chilling gaze, lure Sheila and Kate into a trap, exploiting their innocence in a moment of trust? Was his device a tool of deception, a way to capture their voices before stealing their lives? Or was he a distraction, a figure misremembered in the chaos, while another predator struck? Did Lloyd Welch, with his tangled confessions and haunted eyes, hold the key, his tale of a Virginia horror the truth? Or was he a liar spinning stories for leniency? Do the sisters' remains lie in a forgotten corner of Bedford County, their ashes scattered by a cruel hand? Or are they closer, hidden in the woods or streams of Maryland, waiting for discovery? The questions are endless, each one a thorn in the heart, each answer a phantom that slips away. For the Lyon family, this enigma is not an abstract mystery, but the fabric of their lives. Mary Lyon, with her nightly candles and whispered prayers, carries Sheila and Kate in every breath, her strength a testament to a mother's unbreakable love. Jay and Joe, their childhood stolen by loss, have grown into men defined by their sister's absence, their advocacy a vow to never let their names fade. The family's home, with its photos and memories, is a sanctuary, a place where Sheila and Kate are forever 12 and 10, their laughter echoing in the quiet moments. Their fight, through vigils, searches, and media pleas, is an act of defiance, a refusal to let the shadows win, a beacon for others who live with loss. For Wheaton, the Lyon sisters are a reckoning, a moment when the suburb's innocence was shattered, its trust replaced by vigilance. The town has grown, its population swelled by newcomers who know the case only as lore, but its core remains haunted. Westfield Wheaton, with its shiny stores and crowded lots, is a palimpsest, its modern sheen overlaid with the ghosts of 1975. The plaque by the atrium, touched by countless hands, is a silent promise to remember, a call to honor two girls who never came home. The case's legacy is woven into Wheaton's identity, its churches, its schools, its quiet streets, a reminder that safety is fragile, that community is both a shield and a mirror for grief. The Lyon sisters' story raises questions that transcend the specifics of their case. What does it mean to live with mystery, to carry loss without closure, to face a world where truth is elusive? How does a family endure when hope is a double-edged sword, when every lead is a gamble between relief and despair? How does a community heal when its heart is broken, when its children are stolen in the light of day? The case challenges our assumptions about safety, about justice, about the power of memory to keep the lost alive. It asks us to consider the unseen, the predators who blend into crowds, the clues that slip through cracks, the truths that lie just beyond reach. Will the truth ever surface? Perhaps a breakthrough awaits, a DNA match in a database, a witness's long-buried memory, a confession scrawled in a dying man's hand. Perhaps ground-penetrating radar will uncover what the Virginians have hidden, or a forgotten attic will yield a tape recorder with voices from 1975. Or perhaps Sheila and Kate will remain an eternal enigma, their fate sealed in a vault of time, their story a flame that burns in Wheaton's collective memory. They are not gone. They are the flicker in the mall's lights, the whisper in its corridors, the weight in every heart that pauses by their plaque. They are the mystery that binds a community, the shadows that call us to listen, the truth that waits for us to find it. Sheila and Kate Lyon are more than a case. They are a requiem for innocence, a challenge to seek justice, a call to hold tight to those we love. Their story is a thread in the tapestry of true crime, a narrative that demands we look deeper, listen closer, never turn away. As we stand at the edge of Wheaton Plaza, gazing into the twilight, we hear their echoes, feel their presence, carry their weight. The Lyon sisters are the heartbeat of a mystery that refuses to rest, a legacy that endures, a shadow that will not fade. Wheaton Plaza stands silent in the gathering dusk, its storefronts dark, its corridors empty, but the echoes of Sheila and Kate Lyon linger, their voices carried on the soft spring breeze, their absence a mystery that burns like a candle against the night. Their laughter, their footsteps, their dreams all vanished in the shadow of a March afternoon, leaving a puzzle that has haunted Wheaton for half a century. Was it the man with the tape recorder, his voice a lure in the mall's chaos? Or does the truth hide in a darker corner, buried in the woods or the memories of a silent witness? The shadows of Wheaton hold the answers, but they do not speak. You've walked this path with us, through the darkness of shadow of crime, where every story is a riddle, every truth a battle. If the Lyon sisters' enigma has seized your heart, if their silence echoes in your thoughts, don't turn away. Subscribe to our channel to join us in chasing more mysteries, where the lost find a voice in the quiet. Drop a like if their story stirred you, if it left you staring into the shadows. Leave a comment, share your theories, tell us what chilled you, or name the cases you want us to unravel next. Hit that bell, for in the stillness, every clue counts. Share this tale with those brave enough to face the unknown, to step into the shadow where truth hides. Shadow of Crime is more than a podcast. It's a mission, a vow to seek justice, to honor the vanished, to confront the darkness no matter how deep it runs. Until we meet again, keep your eyes open, your ears sharp, and your heart ready for the stories that live in the shadow of crime.